All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Tennessee Brando Show. I hope everyone is doing good this morning, and I hope everyone had a great holiday. I really do. Been sitting here reading some of the comments. We're just a little bit late going on because I am completely inept when it comes to to technical things. This entire time, me and Coach D has been trying to figure out a way for our shows to stream to both channels, so it can stream to his channel and mine both. And every time we've ever tried it, it's not worked. And I've said, well, Coach, I don't know why it doesn't work. It always works for me. Well, it always worked for me when I was going on someone else's show. And there's a setting in the settings that says allow guests to stream this to their audience. And I finally discovered it after months of scratching my head and going, what's wrong? It was me. So I really appreciate you guys for being patient. And I'm so glad Coach D will be joining me here in just a moment. We're running on both channels, and I'm glad we finally was able to get over that hump. But I do want to thank everybody so much real quickly. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. That's truly hard to believe. We're almost at 495 right now. So less than 6,000 away. And I really appreciate you guys so much for that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Hayden from the Midas Touch Network. He brought it to my attention that the channel has crossed over 100 million total views. And that completely blows my mind. If you guys could see the little small town that I'm sitting in, it's just so hard for me to fathom that many people has clicked on my videos over the years. But I really appreciate you guys so much for doing that. Truly do. And I'm glad to have you all with me on this day after Christmas. I think this is Boxing Day, ain't it? I always took that literally and would go back and watch some of my favorite fights. But before we get rolling with Coach D, I do want to remind you guys, yes, I have people asking this all the time. Yes, I am on Blue Sky, pumping out more content over there and going to continue to. I've not posted anything to Twitter since I put the Cheaper Eggs song up. And after that, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to give a billionaire money for a blue check mark. It's just something I'm not interested in doing. And I don't want to be part of a platform that's such a dumpster fire. So yes, I am on Blue Sky. You guys be sure to just go over there and check me out as Tennessee Brando over there. You can find me no problem. Also, I wanted to address one comment that I saw in the waiting room while I was waiting to come on, because I did mean to talk about this before. But Ward wants to know, do you think Brando will start resuming live stream chats on Friday evenings and or Sunday mornings again? Those of us who need to work shifts during the weekdays can't make weekday chats. And yes, I have. I do intend to do that probably in the coming new year. I will start doing that again. I just kind of been doing my Friday nights over on the Patreon over there, but we will bring some of those back here to YouTube, and a Sunday morning show sounds good because I do realize that not everybody can make it in the middle of the day on a Tuesday and Thursday. But I truly appreciate everyone out there for joining in with me when we do these, and I will post and let you guys know when we do another Friday evening live chat. Also, shout out to Future. Let's see. Thank you so much for this. Future Creatures. Spent my Christmas with two Trump supporters. Well, my condolences. I hope you was able to make it through it peacefully. Also, shout out to Claire for becoming a new YouTube member, and thank you so much to Sally S for gifting 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. I truly appreciate all of you for coming on. And now, without any further ado, I just want to get right down to it and bring on one of my favorites. I'm sure he is yours too, Coach D. Man, it's great to have you back.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm glad I finally figured out that and what's funny, man, I can't count the times I've had those moments where someone's going, I can't get it to work. And I'm like, I can't either. And then it turns out it's on my end. The same thing happened with Texas Trey. We kept having echo problems, and all I had to do was hit echo cancellation. I mean, it was before the election. You and I was trying to figure that out. This whole time it was right under my nose.
Yeah, it probably was me too, because I didn't see it until I got on the Voice of Reason podcast. I saw that because I remember you talking about it. Like, hey, should be this little button right in the right-hand corner there and everything, you know. And when I got on the Voice of Reason, it just popped up, and I'm like, oh, okay, click that. And then they're like, yeah, we're good. So yeah, it's all right, man. Yeah. Those guys are a little younger than us, so
yeah,
a little faster.
They're so much quicker at that stuff. I was looking at the settings because it hit me. I thought, wait a minute, is it on my end? And I went to settings, and there's a tab that says guest. And I clicked on guest, and it said allow guests to stream to their channel. And I was like, boom, there it is.
Hey, you'll know from now on, man. You'll know from now on.
Yeah, we will. We'll make sure we got it. And I always have to make sure, like with my microphone, when I do a music show versus one of these, because if I turn the echo cancellation on during the music shows, the mic tries to block out my guitar, make my guitar sound underwater. So one time I did a show where people's like, "Man, your guitar sounds like crap," and I was like, "It sounds good on my end. I don't know what's wrong." And I realized that the microphone was trying to push out that background noise, and so yeah. But man, there is so much to talk about. Did you have a good holiday?
I did, man. It was great. Spent time with the family. My daughters are both in town. They're both away at college, so them being in town is nice to have them there, here, and everything. And got me some good stuff, man. They bought me some sweats and some shirts and stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah,
It's crazy how simple things are. When you get a little older, you're like, man, I got some new sweats, and you're like excited,
yeah.
to wear these sweats today,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, how about yours?
Oh man, mine was good. Mine was real good. I had the kids over, and we did something we'd never done before. We had instead of having Christmas dinner, we had a Christmas Eve breakfast. So we just had breakfast for Christmas Eve and opened up presents. And what's funny, my dad got more presents this year because now I've got 3 kids that are out of home, out of home now. They're working on their own and everything, and now they're buying gifts for everybody. And Dad's like, "Wait a minute." He's like, "How did I end up with all these presents? Where did I get?" I was like, "Well, now 3 more are buying for you. Before it was us buying for the kids, So now that they're getting older, all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, I'm getting gifts. And like you said, I'm getting like some new pajama pants. I'm like, yes. So yeah. But my daughter Kaylee bought me a Walter White. I got it in here. I'd show it to you guys, but it's a Walter White like stand up doll. I was like, yeah, we're definitely an odd Christmas gift to get. I'm sitting there pushing him in front of the kids. I'm the one who knocks. It's like, but it was good. We had a good time, and so I hope everyone out there too watching this had a great one too. And whatever holidays you're celebrating, we really hope that everyone does good. I know that the election didn't go like we planned, so it made it tense for a lot of people. I saw some people in the comments talking about having to hang out with their Trump supporting family, and I get that. But I think one of the things I said in my Christmas message was we just got to continue to be good to each other and continue to to not be them, to just show people that we're not what they say we are. They're over there, going out of their way to build a straw man argument against us and call us all these things. And I think as long as we just continue to try to put out goodness in the world and show people that we have the best of intentions, I think, at least I hope that will eventually start to shine through.
Yeah, I brought you up in a video that I posted on Christmas Day because I was bringing this up because you sent me a text that said, "Hey man, Merry Christmas," and I sent you a text back, "Hey, Merry Christmas," and it made me think of this war on Christmas that the Republicans manufactured, right? Mm-hmm. I think it started with Bill O'Reilly years ago, and then Trump took it on also, and I was like, the 2 most progressive leftist guys that I know are texting each other Merry Christmas. The fact that people are out there saying that we hate Christmas and the word Christmas and all this stuff is absolutely crazy. And it just drives me nuts because I did the video because there were people, far right type of people, who were still posting this stuff finally, Christmas is back. And I think Tommy Tuberville posted it. I'm like, what are they talking about? Christmas was never in jeopardy. It has never been in jeopardy. No. You're always going to get to buy a bunch of cheap gifts for your family members. No one's ever going to stop that because it's probably the best day for capitalism ever. Yeah. And so it drives me crazy because I'm just like this one guy, I forget his name, Bet Davis is his last name. He's got a podcast. He's pretty big. I think he might be part owner of the Yankees or something. It says in his bio, but he's finally I'm at a Disney World and I'm saying Merry Christmas to everyone, and they're all saying Merry Christmas back. He's like, finally, we don't have to walk on eggshells.
You never did. Man,
it's manufactured hate.
Yeah, it really is. And it drives me nuts, man, because there's, like you said, here we are, 2 leftist dudes wishing each other Merry Christmas. You didn't cuss me out when I said it to you. It's like, I've just always been of the nature that if someone wished me well, if they said happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever they said, I never took offense that they didn't say that. I just thanked them for it. Well, you too. It was that simple. But they manufacture a lot of stuff. And I got a funny story. Back years ago, I worked in an appliance store in Knoxville, and it's no longer there. But my job was basically I worked in the warehouse, and if the salesman would bring back a slip and somebody bought a new washer or dryer, you take it out to the car, So anyway, me and this one guy worked together, and this is pre-Trump. This is like 2013, maybe 2012, somewhere through there. 2013, I believe it was. But they were already on that back then, and he's like, well, let me tell you something. I'm going to say Merry Christmas. I don't care who likes it. And I'm like, nobody's stopping you from saying it. No one here is telling you can't say it, but he's going off back in the warehouse about it. And one day he says to me, he's like, yeah, I'll tell you what. He's like, they're not going to tell me what to say. If someone tells me I can't say Merry Christmas, I'm going to tell them to go F themselves. And I was like, well, that's very Christian of you. It's like I just sat there. I was thinking, how ridiculous. What a ridiculous war on Christmas. But if you'll notice, they always start those, they accuse us of declaring war on something. And make us all out to be these villains, and they'll find these one little something. They might find one instance over here where somebody got mad over something, and they'll just shine the microscope on it, and then manufacture this big argument that's been going on for years now. Because that was 2013, so that was 11 years ago. We've been having this conversation, and it's like every time the holidays roll around, and the Christmas stuff is in Walmart before Halloween. It's like you could start getting Christmas decorations really soon now. Now, the Valentine's decoration's already out, It's like all these holidays are safe. They're not going anywhere. And people really needs to just, relax and,
Yeah, I saw another one where they were like, Target's taking out all the happy holiday signs, and they're putting up Merry Christmas signs now, And they're like, thank God for Trump, What is going on, man? Like, it's so hilarious. But it's also so pathetic. Like every time I see someone post that or say something like that, I'm like, you guys really got to stop this. Like, this is the most pathetic thing you've come up with. And I just can't believe it. Like when I'm thinking of all the worst things or the most absurd things Donald Trump has done, I think the war on, or him saying, I'm bringing back Merry Christmas, and people actually repeating that and believing that and saying things like, we get to say Merry Christmas again. And I'm like, why did you guys stop? Because I never did. I don't know, and so, and I'm watching the right wing. I think I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene wish everyone happy Hanukkah. Yeah. And I go to her comments, and they're mad at her saying, this is Christmas today. It's not Hanukkah, keep that. This is our day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people, they've created this monster though. They created this monster when they said, that they said, Joe Biden took away Easter by wishing people happy Trans Day and stuff, they created this monster, and now they have to live with this. It's the leopards eating their faces, right? Obviously that's what's going on.
Yeah, it really is. I even saw Elon Musk had posted about it. He showed that, that meme people share where I think it's Batman slapping somebody, and like there was a little bubble coming out from their head, said Happy Holidays, like it's Merry Christmas. And I'm like, I'm not, trust me, I'm not here to give Elon Musk any credit, but I'm sitting there going, that guy can't be that dumb. You know what I mean? He has to see through this. He just gets in on the grift in the game. It's because you would have to be a complete and total moron to think that anyone ever stopped anyone from saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah. It's been my thing to just remind people, and I try to tell them, you have a president-elect right now who is still trying to sell you things. He's still standing up there holding things going, hey, buy this. His wife is selling ornaments. He's selling Bibles and NFTs. He's still trying to sell you things. So for you to not think that these people are not about anything else but money is absolutely crazy. This guy is a billionaire, and he's selling Bibles on his website for like $50. That's weird. And so, I just, when people say those things to me, I always tell them, I'm like, I don't think you realize how much you've fallen for the grift. If you really believe they're sincere in this like war on Christmas and I'm bringing back Christmas and all that stuff, you've fallen for the grift, and you're exactly who they want. Like you're the perfect MAGA if you're falling for this over and over again.
Yeah, and another thing they kept falling for over and over was obviously Hunter Biden, who was never in his father's administration, never had any role in government at all, but they continued to, go after him and make him the boogeyman. And then the whole time they're casting stones at him, they had their own boogeyman, Matt Gaetz, who the report comes out on. And man, I read that whole thing over at minusnews.com. They've got it over there. You can read it. I sit there and read that. I'm actually still reading through it. I've not made it all the way through yet. but dang, man, everything they ever accused us of being or doing is right there, and it's pretty disturbing. I mean, it's one of those things. Again, they created this stuff, and a lot of times I feel like it's all distractions. I really feel like it's like to distract from everything that's going on. But when I started reading that report, I was like, okay, why do we never hear these people? They never throw one of their own under the bus if those things come out. It's always just, it's a weaponization of government. It's fake news. It's not true. But if they really believed in their morals and their values that much, wouldn't you think you would hear one of them say, hey, this ain't us. This ain't who we are. We don't want to be associated with Matt Gaetz. Because the churches where I come from will definitely throw someone under the bus if they step out of line. And it's like, but they don't. They always find a way to turn it that somehow now Matt Gaetz is the victim in their mind.
Yeah, I think about this. I saw someone, I've seen a lot of posts like, oh, Matt Gaetz he's innocent. This is the weaponation of government, whatever, And one lady posted a picture of Hunter Biden with a girl, a woman. She looked young, probably 19 or 20 or something. We don't even know. And I don't know if it was photoshopped or whatever, but she said, I don't want to hear anything about the Matt Gaetz report. And so I said to her, so what you're saying is, as long as you can find a picture of Hunter Biden with what looks to be a young girl, it's okay if Matt Gaetz was a sexual assaulter. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You're either against, sexual assault and sexual violence and stuff like that, or you're not. I would never. I've said this many times in my videos, and I stand by it. I don't care who it is. If you have evidence, I was a Barack Obama fan. You have evidence of him doing things that you have evidence of Matt Gaetz doing. I'm not a fan anymore. I'm not on his team anymore. If there's evidence about it, I want the guy arrested. So it doesn't matter to me what where they fall politically. That's a gross thing. And Matt Gaetz all but admitted it all. He sent out a tweet that said, yeah, I was a womanizer. I did a lot of drugs. I did a lot of drinking. I gave women money if they asked for it. He literally said that. Sometimes I would just give women money if they asked for it. If I was dating them, if I wasn't dating them, I gave them money. This report comes out. It says he gave women $90,000. I don't know about you, Brando, but no, just random people don't ever just ask me for money to the tune of $90K. And here's the thing. If you're giving out money, why is there not one receipt of you giving money to a man? You just
Great
come on,
point,
bro. Come on, $90,000, and we're supposed to believe none of that was for prostitution at all. That's what you want us to believe.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy to me the way he worded that. I sent funds to some women that I dated and some that I didn't, but who asked.
Yes. What does that mean?
I don't know. But it's so crazy that he's basically admitting it. And I've said many times on my channel that I'm not here to like cast stones at people who have made mistakes in their past, but this is some really graphic things. And I mean, and you've got sex with a minor in there, all these things that they have the evidence of. And he's basically, like you said, he's basically admitting it all out loud and saying, yeah, I used to do it. And that's the guy that Trump wanted to make the attorney general. That's the guy that Trump wanted going after people. A guy like that, if he's got all those skeletons in his closet, can you imagine him in a position of power like that and what he would want to do to other people to take all the attention off of him? I mean, I'm looking at it now, and it may have been one of the most dangerous picks he's made yet.
Yeah, and I would say too, like, I'm not either. People make mistakes. We've all made mistakes, right? My issue is Matt Gaetz, Republicans, your Lauren Boeberts out there who will stand on these stages all the time and demonize the heck out of people, say you're not a Christian if you did, and then it comes out like you guys have done way worse things than you're pointing the finger at people about, and that's what bothers me.
Me too.
I had to unfollow a pastor that I knew because I just couldn't deal with all of the things he was saying about people, while at the same time I knew the guy, in high school, and I didn't have a problem with that. But it turns out, he just got released from his church recently because the guy is doing things. That's what I have a problem with. I will acknowledge people make mistakes, and if you come to me and you've made some mistakes, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with them calling, transgender people, abominations, saying that, gay people should be stoned. Like, that's
Mhm.
what I have a problem with. I have a problem with the hypocrisy and
Yeah.
the how they kill irony every day with the things that they say. That's what I have a problem with.
Yeah, and you got people like Mike Johnson that tried to suppress this, so he knew what was there, he knew what was in it, and he didn't want people to know it. And again, he's one of these people that refers to himself as the new Moses.
Mhm.
He thinks God's got his hand on him and all this. And again, if I've said this so many times, but the part of the world I come from, the churches around here, they will absolutely make someone feel as guilty as possible for going out to the bar and having a beer on the weekend. They'll sit there, you
Mhm.
got one last chance to get up here on this altar, and try to fearmonger people, but yet they're going to be okay with those kind of picks in Trump's cabinet, and they're going to want to suppress that and don't let that get out on him. But those same people will say the American people deserve to know everything in Hunter Biden's laptop. The American people deserve to know everything about Bill Clinton. The American people deserve to know. And I'm like, so we don't deserve to know that about Matt Gaetz? You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, and I always ask people, like, what do you want me to do right now? You guys have had Hunter Biden's laptop since Donald Trump's first administration. That was already in possession of the Trump the Trump administration way back then. The best they've come up with is he lied on an application for a gun and he did some cocaine. What do you want me to do? He did some cocaine and he lied on a gun application.
Yeah,
Should we like burn him at the stake? I mean,
I know.
what is the charges for doing some cocaine and lying? I mean, he was, he went through, he was adjudicated for the lying on the application. If we're going to start throwing people in prison for doing cocaine, okay, if that's the rule, do it. But right now, you guys are trying to compare that to
Mhm.
these things that Matt Gaetz did, the things that they demonized the heck out of everyone for. And I always tell people the internet never goes away. You can go to Matt Gaetz's page and you can type in, George Floyd, and you will see him talking about George Floyd deserving what he got and things like that because
Mhm.
he did fentanyl. You can go and you can type in some other Democrat's name and you will see Matt Gaetz, criticizing them for doing the same exact things that he did. And that's what bothers me about these people. It's like, it never goes away. You can literally go to their Twitter feed and all you have to do is type in the search a name and you will see them be complete hypocrites about things over and over again. And it just, it's almost comical if it weren't real life and these people weren't in such positions of power. And something
Exactly.
that you said, yeah, you're right. You put that guy as attorney general. How many people has he partied with, done drugs with, possibly paid for sex with that are going to be able to call in a favor to him or, maybe even blackmail him or something like that? I mean,
Mhm.
those things have to be kind of considered when you're talking about making this guy the attorney general.
Absolutely. It's crazy to me, man, that we're in this position where, and something too, one last point on this subject I'd like to make, is I'm glad that this reports came out on Matt Gaetz, and I'm glad we see now what was in it. I think we did deserve to know. But I'll just look over at Donald Trump and I'm like, man, that guy's about to put his hand on the Bible and swear to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution that he also said he would terminate on day one if he had to. It's one of those things where, okay, I'm glad we got Matt Gaetz, but we still let the biggest one slip away, and that will always bug me, because somehow Teflon Don, nothing stuck to him.
Yeah, I knew a guy who would call him that all the time, and he loved Donald Trump, man. And it's unfortunate that, he was kind of right. I mean, the guy can be convicted of 34 felonies, can be found liable for sexual assault, can have videos of him saying the most vile things, him lying like big time, and
Mhm.
we let that guy become president again. And I just think about, just going back as early as when he said Haitian people are eating cats and dogs, right?
Mhm.
He was asked about that on a show one day, and he said something like, "I'm going to look into that. I'm going out there to Springfield, Ohio, to check on that, and I'm going to report back about it." You realize how that has not come up ever, right? You
Yeah.
realize, like, we have not heard anything about this. Like, that was just another one of those lies that he was able to blurt out, and people backed him up for that. I saw countless videos of people saying there's something going on there. Now suddenly no one cares about it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's typical MAGA
Yeah.
Trump world.
Yeah, so much stuff has went away, and now I saw Trump the other day said we had the greatest election ever. We had the greatest election in history. and his followers rolled right with that. Now they have
Yeah.
total faith in our elections again. And again, I've said so many times, I think one of the main things that really got me on this path to doing this type of content was the hypocrisy and just not being able to sit there and be quiet about it. It's like, I just can't sit here. I'm in a very red part of the world. I joke a lot of times, I'm in the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Mhm.
And it's like, so with the people that says I'm in an echo chamber sitting here talking with Coach D, trust me, I'm not in an echo chamber. I walk outside. I'm hearing the opposing viewpoint every day of my life. But it's just so much that I can't sit back and be quiet when I see that kind of hypocrisy, just that blatant and right in our faces. And I was someone who was brought up in church. I was someone who was raised to believe that way, and I just couldn't sit there and watch my minister go that way, shift into that lane, and not step away from it and say, "Hey, I'm not going in that direction." It just, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I want to say this publicly now, so people will be able to go back to this video and see it. But there are things that Republicans say are horrible today that immediately on January 20th, when Donald Trump gets sworn in, they will say is great. They're already doing it. I've heard them saying crime is going down. Criminals are afraid that Donald Trump is coming, and they're not even committing crimes anymore. So all the things, the price of eggs will not change. But on January 21st, you will have Magas out there going, look at that. Things are cheaper now. It's going to be funny. It is going to be hilarious because right now gas has been going down. And I live in California. So listen, when I visited like Louisiana, Oregon, some other states, especially in the South and everything, and saw the gas prices, I was like, oh yeah, I always forget. I live in California. We're going to be $1 more than everyone. But gas prices are already going down, right? And they're going to say, no matter what, they're going to always point to the highest price when Joe Biden was president, and the lowest price when Donald Trump is president. So you're going to see them compare whatever the highest was in California. They'll say gas prices were $7 because if you go to like San Luis Obispo or some parts of LA, it got to $7. But when they mention Trump's gas prices, they're going to mention the poorest town with the lowest where it's $1.80, even though at that same time it's still $7 in California. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to do that with that. They're going to say, he's already given himself credit for the stock market that we know has gone up the entire time Biden was president. But he's going to give himself credit for that. They were saying stock market doesn't matter, but as soon as he becomes president, they'll say stock market matters a lot. We're going to just see them do a full 180 on everything that they've been saying the last 4 years.
They will. And like you said, they're already doing it. And Trump himself, it cracked me up. I was like, I don't think he realized how that sounded. He said, we're in a golden age in America. It's already begun. And I'm like, really? It's already begun and Biden's president? So there's I say this so many times. There's just no self-awareness over there at all. I'll be honest with you, man. I'll own this. Back years ago, when gas started going up around here, I blamed it on President Bush at the time. I was young, and I was like, well, it wouldn't this way when Clinton was in office. I went along with that. And then I had an uncle who was like, hey, let me explain some stuff to you. And he starts breaking it down. Like, this is what happens. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, it's going to go up under Obama. He says it's not going to. He explained it to me, and of course it did. And it's went up and down under all the presidents. And like you said, they'll pick out the lowest number of his versus the highest number of Biden's and say, look what we did. But I've been in that boat before where I believe things, and then I came around to realizing, hey, that's not how it is. But they have no self-awareness at all, and we'll just roll right with it. Me, I would catch myself, like, if I sit here and just went on and on and on about gas prices one way or the other, and then the opposite guy got in and it stayed the same, I would catch myself going, wait a minute. Hold on. I would be aware of that, but they're not.
No, and I think it's because they're just, I don't know if it's they're not aware, if they're just lying.
Yeah.
One thing I have to own all the time is that I used to consider myself kind of a Black conservative, back, probably 25, 30 years ago. And it's because I fell for I want to keep my taxes down, and I work hard for this money. I want to, and I guess I considered myself a fiscal conservative and a social liberal at the time. And then I realized, like, there's nothing fiscally conservative about Republicans at all. And it's funny that they've kind of pulled that off. But at the same time, this year, the thing they were fighting for the most was to get the debt ceiling to, like, them to never have to worry about raising that thing again. Donald Trump wanted to be able to come in and spend, and Republicans were going along with it. So I mean, what is the Republican stance right now? Like, what is their platform? Because they're not fiscally conservative. I don't know how they try to go on that. They talk about the $32 trillion in debt we are, but none of them will mention that Trump added 25% of that. Like 8 trillion of that 32 trillion was added during the Trump administration. They won't talk about that, but they'll talk about how the debt is so bad and we want to get that down. But at the same time, they want to allow Donald Trump to spend, give away these tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, which we know is going to cost us. And the only thing they're going to do to be able to cut into that is by cutting off marginalized communities from the things they need the most. I'm still trying to figure out, what is the Republican platform? Right now, it just seems like whatever the hell Donald Trump wants.
That's basically it, man. I saw a clip of Jasmine Crockett. I'm going to do a video later on it today. I saw a clip where she was talking, and she said that, like, what are they? What do they stand for? Because it just changes. It really matters. It's just a matter of what Trump says next. But before we roll into this next segment, I want to remind everybody we're going live from mine and Coach D's channel. So if you haven't already, be sure and go over and hit the subscribe button on Coach D's channel. How far are you along, man? I know you was
like 72,000, almost awesome. 500 or something like that. Yeah, like, man, it's been a great push for me. I can't, be more thankful for the amount of people who've been subscribing to my page. And, it's so funny, man. I read through my comments a lot, and I'm sure you do too. And we always talk about how we shouldn't, because sometimes there's the trolls and everything. And I'm sure for you, man, at almost 500,000, it's got to be crazy. But I read through a lot of my comments, and it's so crazy when people will say things like, man, we are so thankful for having your voice and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, my voice, you know what I mean? Like, I turn on this phone every day, or this camera every day, and I talk into it, and when I was doing it and there was no one watching, mm-hmm. I was still saying the same things, and I was still as thankful that, I had the ability to do that. And now that there's 72,000 people out there that tune in, and they send me these nice messages, and I'm at a point where it's still like 90% of the messages I get are just great, and the 10% are like whatever. But it's nice, man. It's nice. And, shoot, I got on your page the other day, and I said, oh man, I hope Brando hits, 500,000 while we're on air, man. That'd be awesome. That's just awesome.
Man, it's so crazy to me, because, like I said, I'm in a really small town here in East Tennessee, and it's like I'm kind of isolated, really. And so it's just funny how that I look at that number every day and go, dang, it's still going up. It's crazy to me, but I'm very grateful too, and I get a lot of really good messages. I block out the negativity, and one of the reasons why I don't scroll through my comments very much is because of the negativity, and I don't want to like focus and dwell on that. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the positivity, and I see that. And I do want to remind everybody real quick, since I'm on the subject of the comment section, I've had, and I'm sure as you get more followers, Coach, you'll experience this too, and it's so frustrating, but I've got so many people impersonating me with different accounts and different profiles, and they'll get in the comment section and say, join me on WhatsApp or whatever, or I want to talk to you, they'll say, or I'm giving away a guitar. Folks, that's never me. I'm never in the comment section giving away prizes. I don't want your WhatsApp information or your Venmo or your PayPal. So all the things that are happening there, just know that, I may reply to your comment, but if I do, it's going to be directly to what you said. On subject, I'm not going to be asking to meet up with you or hang out with you or talk to you in private. So if you see anything like that, just be sure to report those, because I've tried my damnedest to report them. And Facebook's the worst, man. I've got like Marlon Brando Jr. with like my picture. It's like, I don't know where that came from. I'm no relation to Marlon Brando, but anyway, it's like I've just got so much of that stuff out there, and it's super frustrating. But I do appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching us every day. And again, if you haven't already, be sure to go over to Coach D's channel and hit that subscribe button, man. I always enjoy our conversations, and I might make a few little notes of talking points as to where I want to go. But I was telling my mom before I started, she's like, "Who you got on today?" I was like, "Coach D." She's like, "Oh, I'll try to tune in and watch." She's probably upstairs watching now. And she's like, "What are you and him going to talk about?" I was like, "Well, I got a couple of notes made." I said, "But once he starts rolling, I just sit back and enjoy the conversation. I don't, I don't really have I don't really come in here with a bunch of questions prepared because it's kind of the same thing for me being a musician, man. For years, I learned a long time ago, I could make out the perfect set list, but then I would get in front of the audience, and the audience wouldn't necessarily be buying that. They'd want something, you got to go with the room. You got to read the room. And so I just have, I had some talking points put in. I want to get his thoughts on this. And then I know you and I'll fill in the blanks. So
yeah,
we'll call it in the ring. And I really appreciate it. One thing I definitely wanted to get your take on, because this is just, man, we need to keep, people will say, what do we do next? And I'm like, we're all asking that question, but we got to keep pointing out how odd and weird some of this stuff is. Some people say that that's what lost it for us, was calling them weird, but man, we had a guy sit and say he'd be dictator on day one if he wanted, for one day, let me be dictator. We had him say he would terminate the Constitution anytime he seemed fit. Well, we tried to raise awareness on that and bring it to people's attention that that's not normal. And now we got him in here saying things like he's going to buy Greenland. And he's going to take back the Panama Canal, and he's going to make Canada the 51st state. And I'm like, he's already acting like a dictator, and he's president-elect, and he's just throwing this stuff out there, and people thinks that that's okay, and people thinks that's normal. I really believe, because they spent a lot of time watching him on Celebrity Apprentice, and they think that he can just say, "You're fired," or I don't understand why anyone can't look at this and see just how insane it is that you got a guy saying, "I'm going to buy Greenland." Just like you could just go buy it like a monopoly. Like, are you going to land on Boardwalk or Park Place? Like, yeah, I'll buy that one. It's like, but he's already acting that way before he's ever took office.
And for me, it's the disrespect. You never see other leaders just tweeting out Justin Trudeau is going to be the governor of our 51st. That man is running a damn country. Give him the respect he deserves. It's so weird. And then, with the Panama Canal thing, they're like, we're not giving that up to you. And he's like, we'll see about that. And again, this is the guy who's against wars, right? So how does he think this is going to play out when he just decides to, I'm going to make this happen? And listen, I probably should stop looking at the right sometimes in some of their comments, but someone said, what if he offered everyone in Greenland $1 million? So now you guys just want to give away our tax-paying dollars to another country so that you can hopefully buy that country. I don't get it right now with this whole Greenland, Panama Canal, Canada. How's Canada's going to become the 51st state? That massive land they have is going to become the 51st state. And he's just throwing it out there. And then people are like, let's go get Mexico as well. It's such bizarro world that we're living in right now. And yeah, you're right. He's acting like a dictator. Is how much different. And I know he's saying he's going to buy it, but he's also using an authoritarian kind of, tone when he's saying these things. But how different is that from Putin going and trying to annex Ukraine? It seems to me like it's not that much different. You're talking about, we're going to take that back. We're going to take the Panama Canal back. You can just do that, and we're going to make Canada our 51st. Trudeau doesn't want any part of that. What are you talking about? Yeah. It's so disrespectful to me.
And can you imagine how they would feel if someone in Greenland was saying that about us? Which Greenland did actually there was somebody came back with a great comeback. Was like, well, we'll buy America and give them health care, and give them education and bring them up to speed. But I can't think of another world leader, and if there's one out there, I may be wrong, but I'm not aware of another world leader just getting on social media and typing in all caps, and making all these claims from social media. I just think the whole thing's embarrassing. It's like it's bad enough. It's bad enough that he has these crazy ideas, but he just puts it out there on social media like some drunk just sitting there late night. I had a buddy of mine, and I might have been guilty of it too back in my 20s, but I got a buddy of mine who every now and then I'll see him post something on social media, and I say to myself, he's drinking. And he's going to wake up in the morning and delete that. And there's times where we've talked about it. He's like, yeah, man, I was sitting around. I just had one too many, and I shouldn't have said that. I deleted it this morning. We got a leader of the free world doing that now. You know what I mean? It's like if this guy is in the highest office in the land and he's sitting there like your friend that gets drunk on Facebook and just says all this random stuff. And it's crazy to me that we live in this world. It's just so bizarre that they're perfectly okay with it. But if the roles was reversed and someone was to say, that we'll buy America and make it, part of it, they would be outraged. It's absolutely disgusting.
I'll tell you two things. One, he does. It's 4 a.m. when he puts out these tweets most of the time. So it is weird that it's in the middle of the night. Like, they say the guy doesn't drink, but I don't know what he's doing at 4 a.m. that makes him think I'm going to tweet something crazy out about, Nancy Pelosi or whatever. But, he put out a tweet one day of Chris Christie, with the drone thing, right? You saw that one, right? The drone flying over, Chris Christie eating a bunch of Big Macs or whatever. And it's like, Chris Christie, I know, and Donald Trump aren't best of friends or anything, but Chris Christie used to be like in his cabinet, or I think he was a part of his cabinet early on in his first administration or something like that, or maybe a part of his transition team, but they got along, and Chris Christie is still a Republican. Imagine just like, you're just Chris Christie, right? The debate is already done. Donald Trump has already won the presidency. Why are you still so bitter about Chris Christie that you decided to tweet out like a juvenile ass? Like, if a high school kid did that about another high school kid, they'd be called into the office and probably get suspended or something for that. So imagine Chris Christie sitting around. Somebody probably texted him like, "Hey, Donald Trump just posted a tweet of you, man, sitting down eating a bunch of cheeseburgers with drones flying over," and he's probably like, "What the hell's wrong with this guy? The guy is going to be the president. Why is he doing that?" And then Harry Sisson put out a tweet the other day, and he said, "Merry Christmas to everyone, even the crazy right-wing lunatics out there who call themselves MAGA. I hope you have a Merry Christmas today too." The people were in the comments saying they didn't realize he was literally parodying Donald Trump's tweets, right? They were in the comments going, this is disrespectful, Harry. Why would you say that? And it's like, this is what your president does. Like,
he does the same thing.
Just mocking the president, and you guys don't even get it. There are so many times, man, and I hopefully people, I wonder how this comes across sometimes when I'm like this, but there are so many times when I talk about Donald Trump and the things he's said and done where I literally come off as like, I'm stupid, because I can't believe we elected this guy as president after such just juvenile stupidity.
It is. It's so crazy to me. Like you said, if he was a kid, you get called into the office for sure. It's crazy. I just find that to be a weak and fragile person. I mean, him and Ron DeSantis haven't hugged and made up either. He still calls him Ron DeSanctimonious. It's like you won the thing, but it's like he's still upset at the people that didn't like him or had something to say bad about him, or he's going after a pollster in Iowa, it's like, that to me is just a sign of weakness. I remember back years ago, and I've talked before on the channel, I've followed politics my whole life, and I believe it was Ross Perot who was running at one point in, I think, 92, and he dropped out of the race because of he felt like his daughter was being harassed over something. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, he dropped out of the race for a little while, and then he got back in it. That's all he did. It was just like, I don't think I want to be part of this. I'm out, and then I think I'll get back in. And they was like, this guy's undecisive. You can't have a leader like this because this man can't make up his mind. And I'm like, and the guys, that was pretty much it for him. I think he might have ran again in 96, but then he just faded away. You never heard of him again. And I'm like, but just for a minute, it was like he was kind of that populist dude coming up that everybody's like, oh, look at this guy. And I'm like, okay, so that guy was just undecisive for a second. And you've got all this juvenile just behavior. It's just ridiculous and embarrassing to the whole country. And that same party that was ready to write that guy off for just hesitating about running, gets behind this sort of just absolutely over-the-top juvenile behavior. And it's got that stuff might make them feel good, and they may love to share it to people like us. And look, I own Coach D or whatever, but it's like, when your mother's losing her health care, and when you're losing your pension, and when your daughter can't get the help she needs, what did any of that get you? You trolled Chris Christie. Okay, good for you. But what did that actually get you at the end of the day?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm glad you said this, because I was going to kind of roll into that. Like, do we think they really do believe his policies are good? Or is it just, man, I hate this one liberal dude, and I want to be able to say, yeah, orange dude won, because that's the comments I get a lot of times is like, you're just mad the orange man won. I'm like, no, I mean, if my answer to them all the time is, if you guys are saying that this guy is the best thing for the country and he's going to make America great again, it's going to be great for all of us and everything, I won also. All I'm doing is sitting back and waiting for all this winning to happen. Because if you guys think Donald Trump is the man for everyone, then why are you saying, look at that, you lost? I didn't lose, I won, right? I'm going to reap all the benefits of this guy being president as well. So I'm just going to sit back and wait for that to happen. Unfortunately, what's actually going to happen is that people are going to lose their health care, and people are going to lose it. And oh man, that reminds me of something. I have to tell this story before I get off also, because we talk about the policies, right? So I called up a friend of mine who's he lives a little bit away now. So we talk every once in a while. He's telling me a story. He doesn't hang out with a lot of his old friends because they've really gone MAGA and everything like that. But when he comes in town for Thanksgiving, he went and saw one of them. They were talking about their health care. And these are two pretty big Trumpers, right? And they were going to retire. The guy's going to leave his job early and retire because he's really tired of his job. And they were asking him, well, what are you going to do about health care before you turn 55 and, your healthcare kicks in and everything? And they said, because of some circumstances, we're going to be able to get Covered California, right? Covered California is a subsidiary basically of Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, right? All of that came into play because of that. They didn't know that, though. They didn't know they were taking advantage of Obamacare. They didn't realize that Covered California and the Affordable Care Act are all Obamacare. So again, we talked about this, right? When these people think they like this guy's policies, when at the same time, they're actually taking advantage of very liberal progressive policies all the time. And I know so many people like that who work in the public sector. They're teachers, they're firefighters, they're police officers, they work in parks and recreation or, for sanitation and stuff. I'm like, these are all parts of the things you guys claim to hate, and you're all taking advantage of it. So it just, I don't know, it's comical to me, but yeah, you're right. It's just one of those things that we have to live, unfortunately, under what they've given us by voting for this guy, but we get to see exactly what's going to happen. And I've said this a few times, and I think I said it on my video, my daughter really kind of hates when I say this, but I've said that I really feel like a lot of people need to feel this presidency. The only way we're going to know for sure that we need to move away from this ideology ever again is that people need to feel it. Like, I need the guy who I know who knows that he is basically an anchor baby who voted for Donald Trump, knowing that his parents could be deported. I almost need them to be deported because he needs to feel this. People who work in teaching, right, that voted for Trump, and he's going to cut, the Department of Education, which oversees funding for schools. They need to feel that when that happens, so that they know, damn, I messed up. But unfortunately, I don't even know if they're going to. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that when these things come down, do you think they're going to blame Trump and maybe they start to move more back to the middle, or do you think they're just going to go, man, I might have lost my health care, but guess what? I own Coach D. I own Tennessee Brando.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I think they'll find a way to blame it on us. I really feel like that when it's all over, even if they do realize they got played, they'll be more mad at me and you than they will be for Trump for playing them because we made them feel stupid. And that really wasn't the intention. It was just trying to get people to wake up and realize. And as I'm hearing you say that, it's sad that they're going to have to feel it. It is. And there's a lot of innocent people that's going to pay for it because they had to feel it. I think, we have seen people walk away from MAGA. I've done videos on different people that have walked away and talked with people that have. And if you had people walk away between 2016 and 2020, and then you had people, walk away after January 6th and over the last 4 years, I definitely think you may see more start to walk away. I don't know if the hardcores will ever come out and ever say, oh, Brando and Coach D had it right. I don't know if they'll ever want to pat us on the back for it, but I definitely part of me says, well, they'll just find a way to blame it on Democrats somehow, because that seems to be the way they've sort of been preconditioned to think that it's always somehow our fault. or it was something that Biden did beforehand that, got in Trump's way. I figure they'll find a way, but hopefully more will come around to seeing it. And it is sad that people has to feel that before they come around.
Yeah, I'm not going to take it's funny. I see some of the comments. Someone said they're snitching on everybody, like they're like I'm calling ICE on people and stuff. And I'm not going to, I laugh about it now and everything. I don't think I'm going to have any happiness with seeing, people being deported or dragged away or anything like that. But I think there's going to be a lot of videos being done by me that are saying, here's when we say people F around and find out, like this is the find out, because you guys effed around and decided to vote for this guy thinking that it wasn't going to affect you. And now that it is, you're going to have to deal with that. Like people losing their healthcare, people losing their social security benefits, people losing their welfare, people, this everything with abortion getting even worse, those things are that is going to affect a lot of people. It's going to take a bite out of a lot of people's lives. And, unfortunately, even those of us who didn't vote for it, we're going to be affected by it as well.
Yeah. And one last thing I wanted to touch on before we go is, one of the things they ran on was, and you hear people out here talking about how America wanted a populist, they wanted a populist like Trump to come in and get the government away from all the billionaires. But now they got Elon Musk propping it all up. They voted for everything they said they stood against. A while ago when you said, what's their platform? This thought actually went through my head. I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but I was thinking exactly. Their platform this entire time was, we want to get it away from the billionaire class. And we want to, get it away from the people that weren't elected. But then Trump gets in. He's got Elon Musk, who wasn't elected. They created an imaginary department for him to be in. He's got a say now in everything. And that's getting under Trump's skin, that people like us are pointing out that it feels like Musk is more the president than Trump, because it's like everything has to run by him. And I saw a video where Trump's, was already like, he's not going to be president. That's not going to happen. But he said something that jumped out at me, and I made a video about this. He said, and besides, I'm safe. He can't run. He wasn't born in this country. It was the fact that he said, I'm safe. That just kind of leaped out at me. It was like, oh, so you do kind of realize that this guy owns you in a way. It's like, it shows me it had to have went through his mind. Wait, can he take this from me? But it's just crazy to me that that's what they ran on. We want a populist. We want to get away from the billionaire class. Yet his cabinet, last time I checked, had like 13 or 14 billionaires in it. Elon pulling all the strings. Everything they said they were coming to vote for and against, they went the opposite way on it.
Well, it's funny you said that, because you and I have talked many times about how we can watch the same video and come up with a different take. But in this case, we watched the same video and came up with the same exact take, because I thought the same exact thing. I thought, how is it that the president-elect is sitting there going, and guess what? I'm safe, because he's not even. And you're right. He must have thought, wait, is this possible at all? But this is the craziest thing. They're talking about Elon Musk as Speaker of the House. And listen, when these people float things out, I think they float them out to test it out on people.
They do. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, and you got Marjorie Taylor Greene out there. There's been a few people who are saying, I would take Elon Musk as the Speaker of the House. So you guys are saying you're looking to vote in Speaker of the House someone who is not a citizen, and you're going to put him third in line to the presidency, who is not a citizen, at the same time saying you want to get rid of anchor babies and and all this type of stuff. Like, that's weird. And you're right. Allowing this and Trump can say whatever he wants. Elon's running things. I'm sorry, but when you see Elon put out tweets, and then you see members of the House make decisions based off of that tweet, when you hear Speaker Johnson say, I spoke with Elon a little bit before this vote, you spoke with an unelected bureaucrat? Like, this is what you guys rail against, but now that guy is being allowed to make decisions that are going to affect our lives, a billionaire. And when people say, let him run the country like it's a business, I think, do you guys understand? We see what businesses are doing right now. We see businesses making record profits and still laying people off. We see businesses making record profits and still not caring about the safety or well-being of their employees. That's what you want to see. You want to see Donald Trump, who's been bankrupt, 8-9 times or whatever, run this country like a business. Hey, good luck with that, because you're about to actually see that. The guardrails are no longer there. Everyone around him now has sat around and said, I am a yes man for Donald Trump. Whatever he says goes. and they're going to let him do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, and again, we're in the find out phase, and it's going to be pretty brutal. Come January 20th, they'll flex, and we talked about that before the election. We talked about how we knew they would flex at us, and they definitely did. You know, the night that it happened, my comment sections on every platform out there just exploded with people. Told you so. And I'm like, well, okay, glad you got that off your chest. But later on, I'm going to be reminding you of things I was saying the entire time as it circles back around and bites you in your ass. I'm going to be there to remind you. I've had a lot of people, you know, I've seen it go by in the comments a couple of times like, okay, you know, we're talking about it, but how do we fix it? And the truth is, you know, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. You know, but I think one of the things we're going to have to do now going forward, we warned them, we tried our damnedest to get our points across. And I think now we just have to go back and circle back and say, see, we told you that would happen. And I don't want it to be, I hate the fact that it's going to be 4 years if I told you so, but I'm afraid that it is. I can't see it going any other way. And like, you know, I've seen a lot of people, I do want to do a video later on and talk more about this, but I've saw Democrats saying things like, some Democrats like Fetterman was saying, well, you know, I don't want the president to fail. He's like, I don't want Donald Trump to fail. If you want Trump to fail, you want the country to fail. And I get that sentiment because I said that back when Obama was president and you had Republicans saying we want him to fail. But the massive difference is here, Obama was trying to get health care for everybody and they wanted that to fail. You know, it's like they wanted him to fail as president. I'll go ahead and say it out loud. I don't care at all to say it. I do want Trump's radical agenda to fail. I don't want to see the agenda that he has. And that's not me wanting the country to fail. That's me wanting. I don't want to see innocent people hurt by these things. That's the things that I don't want to see. So it's not that I'm wishing for the country to fail. I just think that Donald Trump and his radical agenda is dangerous to this country. And no, I don't want to see that be successful.
Yeah, I want to see him fail at taking away healthcare from people. I want to see him fail at taking away my mother's Social Security benefits. I want to see him fail at, you know, making racism, you know, out in the open again. I want to see him fail at those things. So if he is going to, you know, ensure that more people have healthcare, I want to see him succeed at that. Absolutely. Exactly. He's going to make sure that college is more affordable and accessible to more people, I want to see him succeed at that. But if you're going to take away benefits from people, you're going to take away education from people, you're going to demonize marginalized communities, you're going to turn, you know, transgender people into everyone's enemy, you're going to turn gay people into enemies, you're going to say things about Black people, Hispanic people, Asian people. No, I want you to fail at that. Absolutely. So I'm not going to apologize for that either. I'm not going to hide that. So yeah, there are things that you want to see people fail at, and that's what I want to see the president fail at. Now, again, if he's going to turn around somehow and make life better for myself, my family, and other families in this country that are struggling and, you know, trying to make it, then I want to see him succeed at that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've never wanted a president to fail at leading this country. But there's definitely, you know, ideas and ideologies that I do want to see fail. I don't, because I really believe that if Trump's radical agenda wins, if Project 2025 wins, then I do believe America fails.
Absolutely.
I really believe that everything we ever stood for fails if that goes on through. And people like us definitely went out of our way to try to warn people, and we may spend the next 4 years saying, I told you so. But I think we just got to keep doing the heavy lifting, man. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a rough and rocky road. And I've had a lot of people say, you know, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, well, we're just going to keep putting in the work and moving forward, because that's really all we can do. A friend of mine told me years ago, he's like, you know, you sometimes got to play the hand you're dealt. And sometimes it's not a good hand. And sometimes other people got better hands than you did, but you got to figure out a way to keep your composure and sit there at the table and work through it. And so, I hope that we can do that over the next 4 years. But again, Coach, I want to thank you as always for being on the show. And if you guys make sure you go over to Coach D's channel and hit that subscribe button, I'd like to see him cross over 100,000 soon. I'm sure you'll get there, man. And I just really appreciate the work you put in. And just thanks for everything.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. And one of the things when people ask me what am I doing next, you know, I've started to make my voice a little bit more heard locally. I've been joining some different, you know, progressive groups that are around and trying to talk more people, you know, and try to I think where we mess up is our messaging. And so and actually getting our voice out there and having more people like myself and out there. So I've been doing that, but and you know, this stuff actually helps as well. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to seeing you hit that 500,000, man. That is so big, you know. So I definitely want to be around to congratulate you on that. And yeah, I'm pushing forward, man. I can't be more happy with the way things are going with my channel, and you know, with just getting my voice out there to everyone, and being being an advocate for people who need an advocate. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on. You're welcome here anytime. All you got to do, just come on. It's the door's always open, man. We'll do this again sometime.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach. All right, everybody. That was Coach D, and it's always great having him on. Be sure to go over and subscribe to his channel. He's one of my favorite voices, and he's a good friend. He's somebody that I talk to almost every day. We sit and exchange ideas and talk a lot, and we've talked our way through a lot of things and got each other's opinions on things. You know, there's a lot of times that I've reached out to him as somebody that was raised up in Southeast Kentucky, East Tennessee. There's times that I've reached out to him and wanted to know if certain things that I was taught or was repeating had racial undertones. And he's really helped me to learn and see a lot of the things that I was brought up with and how that they weren't necessarily correct. And so it's good to have a friend like that who can keep you in check, you know, who you can go to and say, hey, I need to know about this. And you know, he messages me, and we're good friends. So I met him in person. And sometimes people will say, don't meet your heroes. But to tell you the truth, man, when you meet Coach D, he's exactly that guy that you just saw sitting here on the screen. There's no pretense. There's nothing. That's him. And you can sit and have a conversation with him and have a beer at the bar, and he's that guy sitting there having that conversation. So, again, thanks to Coach D. You guys go over and subscribe to his channel. Before we go, I do want to give a shout out to the people who sent in their thanks and people who became new members. So let's see where I left off. I think Sally gifted 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. I really appreciate that. Also want to say thanks to Dawn for the super sticker. Thanks to Jeanette. She gifted 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. Thanks to Mesa and Darcy for becoming new members, for Magnificent Lies for the super sticker. Jerry Anderson, thank you so much for that super sticker. Deidre Williams became a new member. Griffless gifted 5 Tennessee Brando memberships, and Teresa sent 2 super stickers. So I really appreciate that. And earlier in the show, I did address this comment right at the start. But for those of you that tuned in, I had one person ask when I'm going to start doing the live streams at 9 o'clock Eastern time PM, because a lot of people are working right now and they don't have a chance to tune in. So I'd been doing some of my live streams over on Patreon. We've been over there building that platform up, and I've been doing a lot of my late night streams over there. And I've also been putting a lot of, non-political content over there, because we all need to take a break from politics from time to time. And I definitely need to have another outlet. Don't get me wrong, I love sitting here and talking about the issues at hand, but at the same time, I definitely need to take a break from time to time. And so I've made content playing music. I've made content lighting up my grill, reviewing cigars, just talking about books, talking about movies, talking about other things. And so we have a lot of fun over there. And I do a lot of live streams. I've went 6 hours sitting and playing music, and people's like, why did you go that long? And I'm like, because I needed it. I needed the break. I needed the time to just sit there and just, and play music and talk about other things. And so we have a good time over there. If you guys I want to check that out, the link's in the description of this video. But I will be back soon doing some live streams and Sunday morning shows for people that works during these times and can't catch them. I've also had people say, well, can you make them shorter? I just, I do what I can, put it that way. I feel like, if I did a short show, someone would ask for it to be longer. If I did a long show, someone would ask for it to be shorter. So I tell you what, just tune in for what time you can, and know that you're very much appreciated for doing so. I really appreciate all of you for helping me to get to where we've got. I think, let's see where we're at now. So we're closing in on 495,000 subscribers. That's hard to believe. We've probably gained 50 just since we've been sitting here. But I really appreciate you guys for that. And I'll have some more videos coming out later today. Just keep your eyes and ears open for those. If you've hit the subscribe button, by the way, it doesn't cost anything to do so. I've had several people message me and ask me if it costs anything to subscribe. No, it doesn't. You can join up for a membership if you hit the join button. But you can subscribe for free, and all that does is give you a notification, and your YouTube gives you the chance to to know that I've came out with a new video. That's pretty much what it does. So if you hit that button, it just helps the videos to go farther and gets us in the algorithm and keeps us in people's eyes and ears. So I really appreciate everyone. I hope everyone had a great holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever you're celebrating. Like me and the coach said at the start of the show, no one ever declared war on Christmas. You weren't, me and Coach D, two of the most leftist dudes out there, wished each other Merry Christmas yesterday, and no one threw fists. So just know that whatever you're celebrating, I hope you have a good one. Be good to one another, and enjoy those times with your family. I really had a good time with mine. And, I'm a 44-year-old guy that will own it. I sit down on the floor and play with my WWE action figures along with my little boy. And we had a great time doing that. And I just set my phone down and got away from it. And, of course, my kids beat me at every video game now. And I actually enjoy just sitting back and losing. I never thought I would do that. Back when I was a kid, I was very competitive and I wanted to win those Nintendo games. And now it's like, you know what? My 6-year-old kicks my ass at it. This is great. No problem. So enjoy those simple moments with your family, and we will get through this. I know that a lot of people feel pretty hopeless, but we're going to keep on fighting the good fight for as long as we possibly can. As long as I have oxygen in my lungs, I'll be sitting here calling this shit out. So I'm not going anywhere. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. So we're headed into 2025. I hope everyone has a great new year, and I'll keep you all posted as to when I'm going live at other times so more of you can catch the show. So again, thank you guys so much. I love y'all. Hope y'all have a great holiday and a great new year, and I'll see you again soon.